Hello and welcome everybody to Marvel Spank. Now, what this video is going to be about is the news that came about in the last 24 hours or so for The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead crossover. The collective minds of the fandom of both shows have just fucking exploded. And the reason why they've exploded because on every single other instance that Robert Kirkman has spoken about this, he has said, no, naughty, no. So when at New York Comic Con in the last day or so, he said to us all, there is going to be a crossover. I'll let that sink in, let it permeate through, and then get a little bit too excited. Okay, what he actually said was there was going to be a character from one of the two shows that will appear in the other. Now, that creates some problems, because one started 5 years following the other, but they both started at the same base point. So, what we have to do to work out which character this is, and believe me, it's actually not too difficult unless they're gonna do some ridiculous fudge that's just gonna cheapen the whole experience. Now, the things we have to assume, that both programs run in real time. So a year for us is a year for them, or at least some sort of proportionate representation of the two. A lot like Marvel years, where 4 is approximately equal to 1, although I don't really know where we stand on that now because everything has been retconned and bumfucked out of all recognition. Anyway, well, that is Marvel, we are talking Walking Dead. Why, you might say, being as this is called Marvel Spank, well, it's because a man can love more than one thing. Just don't let them find out. Just love one thing. But in this case too. Anyway, the assumptions, real time. The other thing that we have to assume is that there has to be feasible travel. Now we're talking about LA, Mexico-y sort of regions to Atlanta. For example, LA to Atlanta is about a 1-day drive or about a month's worth of walking. So, what are the options? What ways can they perform this act of majesty? Well, let me tell you, the first one is some kind of fudge. It's a flash forward, a flashback, a dream sequence, in the background, indiscreet cameo. We're going to forget about that because the storytelling in this program is far too strong for them to do anything as weak as that. So we're going to dismiss that. Okay, the second one is a flash forward, foreshadowing event in Fear the Walking Dead. Now, as we said, there's about a 5-year gap between the two programs. So, if we were to have one of the Fear characters show up in The Walking Dead, that means that they've got to be alive for at least 5 more seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. Now, as we've seen with Heath, who just disappeared, which is weird because no one even mentions it. If this was Carl, it would be Carl! Carl! We've got to find Carl! I get that. I do. Right. That's how it would be all the time. Heath just doesn't come back and no one seems to fucking care. They don't even mention him anymore, which is bizarre. Anyway, that's because he got the lead role in 24 Legacy, so he just disappeared from The Walking Dead. Sasha, she is now Star Trekking across the universe. So she had to get written out. So I don't believe the contract lengths would span as long as 5 years, especially when you've got something like Fear that may or may not keep popularity to stop it from getting cancelled. So any story arcs that they would have to do, I think, is beyond the planning of a crossover. The third option, and this is where it gets a bit complicated, we have to pick the bones and look at the timelines. Someone from The Walking Dead shows up in Fear. Now this is the only way I can see it working. But for it to be in continuity for both, it would have to retcon the series history of The Walking Dead, or at least add something to the existing canon. So, we need points in the timeline where people weren't there. There were missing blocks whereby someone could have either met halfway or crossed over with the LA, Mexico, or they've pulled in a different direction and it's all come together. So, that really discounts the Atlanta 4. So that's Carol, Rick, Daryl, and Carl. Then we've got characters that are in and around Alexandria that don't really go anywhere, which pretty much covers all the rest. So let's look at the timeline in real time and episodally. We have 2010, The Walking Dead starts. I'm going to pick up a couple of key moments for certain characters as well. Morgan's first episode for quite some time. Then we jump forward and we've got 2013 and it's season 3, episode 12. And that is when Morgan has his sort of one-shotty Rick, Michonne and Carl go out and they find him losing his fucking mind. He is all over the place, he's storing weapons and he is a consummate badass. Next point is 2014, the second half of season 4, and this is where the gang splits. And also, by the way, this is where I realised that I love this program like a person because it was just so intrinsically detailed and they put couples of people that wouldn't necessarily be together, and this is why Daredevil works as well, because if you strip that of all the superhero stuff, you strip this of the zombie stuff, what you're left with is 20 to 30 minutes of supremely well-written drama that would stand alone, no doubt. And this focused on relationships, putting people in unfamiliar settings, and it really started to work on a different level. So we have got an opportunity there where the storytelling for each of these different groups, there was a lot of gaps while it's flipping between all the others. So there are definitely parts here, and it would also rely on the Fear the Walking Dead cast moving to somewhere a bit more in that location, in and around that location, to sort of make the crossover happen. Okay, the next point that we're going to look at is February 2014, which was season 4, episode 10. Abraham and those characters were introduced. The next one, February 2015, series 5, episode 11. That's where Aaron's introduced. So, we have a point where Fear starts. Okay, 2013 is where we are roughly with Fear the Walking Dead as a program now. If you backdated it to 2010 when it started, it's 3 seasons in. That would tie in very well with when we last saw Morgan until when he showed up at the end of season 5. We have 2 whole years then of Morgan treading the path, walking the earth, and that is how we could have him going wherever he wants and he could show up in Fear. The second one, Abraham, showed up in February 2014. So we have a whole year then of him travelling from wherever he came from. I did a little bit of research, it seems a bit ambiguous, from wherever he came from to when he turned up in the programme, we have a year whereby he could overlap into Fear. The other one is Aaron. We don't know how far he was going out for people, trying to bring them back to Alexandria. And that means from 2013 to 2015, we have 2 years where Aaron hasn't met the group and he's got a bit of backstory. He could be out on a run and he could be just bump into them. There's also a good amount of time there for 2 years for them to all overlap and to meet up. So, what are we looking at now? Now, who can we discount? So, that narrows it down to 3 people. Abraham, Morgan, and Aaron. And we're saying they're definitely showing up in fear, it's not going to be the other way around. Now, Michael Kudlitz has said he may or may not be appearing again in The Walking Dead or in some way. I think it would be the choice of the program to bring someone back like that because it would be more impacting. Aaron and Morgan, people don't dig as much. And really, the one shot where Morgan was getting trained and he found his inner chi and all that kind of thing wasn't a massive fan favourite. Aaron is kind of a catalyst to the other characters. He provides the means for them to be the characters they are. He rarely does anything that is... We don't get Aaron-centric episodes, let's just put it that way. So, there we go. Piss easy, mate. That's what that was. We have taken it apart and put it back together, and we have decided that Abraham is going to show up at some point in the next 2 series of Fear the Walking Dead. Thank you very much if you stuck all the way to the end. I appreciate that. A couple of bits of housekeeping. This has come from my Twitter. The handle will be showing up pretty soon somewhere around here. And the other thing, if you want to see what I look like when I'm not dancing around in front of a green screen, I am also on Instagram and you can hit me up on there. That will also be appearing soon. So that's it for another episode of Marvel Spank. And all that is left for me to say is peace out home!